Yo, crew, Coach Bryant's BPC Performance Coaching. I'm sitting here, it's what, the Thursday morning, December 14th. I saw a post on one of my Facebook friends, Amy Dixon. She's really awesome, by the way, a visually impaired athlete who's gone all the world racing. Obviously, it caught my attention. This post really bothers me. I was like, I hadn't even seen this post yet. So I clicked on it, and I know it's going to be small for you here, but essentially it's this gal, Chandler Self, who is collapsing. This is the race winner. This is the race winner of the Dallas Marathon this past weekend, December 10th. So I was like, okay, I got to pull this up. So here it is, big screen for you. This is the end of the race. You can see the banners up. And the commentators are calling her brave, and how brave it was for her finishing. Clearly, this was a mind over matter. This can be dangerous for some athletes, and that was the whole point of Amy's post. And so there you go. Where is it? This athlete is in clear medical distress due to heat, which is, this is obvious, or it could be some other situations taking place. So, okay. As a performance coach, as someone who's now spent a lot of time testing athletes from an electrolyte loss standpoint, this to me appeared to fall under one of three categories. So if you're someone who's had this happen to you, typically it's going to be because of one of three things. So the first one is going to be, are you pushing yourself a lot longer and harder than your body is used to? Okay, so if you're getting into that 50% longer or harder than what your body's used to, or you're going a lot longer and the intensity's up the whole time. So if you're training for a marathon and you've done your 2 hour and 30-minute run, say, but it was super easy, you had walk breaks, and then on race day, you're flat out, you're trying to run the entire time, your heart rate's a lot higher the entire time. That's a big increase in training stress. So that can be something that can send your body into muscular cramps, cause you to feel really bad. In her case, I saw the interview. She said her legs essentially just started giving out from under her. So the next aspect, so that could be one part, or it could be all three of these that play a role. So pushing harder and longer. Number two is electrolyte loss. My guess, and I'm going to run through it, my guess is it's electrolyte loss and not replacing those properly that played the biggest role in this. And it's the exact reason why we now offer sweat sodium testing, which I'll dive into a little bit also. So electrolyte loss and not replacing those properly. The third one is going to be poor fueling. So not putting the calories back in that you need to. So if you're racing, her finish time was right around 2:45, I believe. Let me pull it up. So her finish time, 2:53:56. Okay, so that's a pretty solid marathon finishing time. She won the race. Clearly, she's fast. I would think so. Outside looking in, I don't know Chandler. If you know Chandler, and if Chandler wants to come get tested, sweat sodium, I'm going to dive into this. We'll do it for free for her if she can get to Memphis. But here's my guess. So she's clearly experienced because she won the race. She's also, another indication that she's experienced is, look at her pacing. She didn't go out at 6:15s and then slowly fall off the entire time. She clearly had a plan, 6:40, 6:34, 6:25, 6:26, 6:29, 6:27, 6:29. I mean, she's dialed in pretty much even pacing this thing, started off slightly easier until the wheels fell off around that, I think she said that 24-ish mile mark. And from there, the last was still an 8:05, which is pretty impressive considering she was hobbling and being held and helped and everything at the end there. That's still a pretty solid pace. So my guess is, the next thing I did is I went and looked at the weather, and I closed that down. But the temperature started in upper 30s and ended, the high that day ended up being 72. Humidity was pretty high in the morning. So here's my thought. She's experienced. She's clearly done some training, in order to be fast enough to win a full marathon. She's clearly put in the training. This isn't an amateur that's gone out. So she's raced at what appears to be very smart. I'm guessing she's experienced, which would lead me to believe she's also would have a fueling plan in place. The big anomaly, the big thing that most people don't know, the big hole in most people's overall plan has been electrolytes in our experience. So like for me, after purchasing this sweat sodium testing and doing sweat sodium testing, I found out that I lose almost 1,200 milligrams of sodium per liter. And here's a little look at our website. If you go to buildpeakcompete.com/hydration, there's two main factors that go into your hydration plan. So not your calories in, not your fueling plan, not your training. This is how much electrolyte replacement, fluid replacement you should be doing. The big things are how much sodium are you losing and how much sweat are you losing? So what's the volume of fluid going out of your body and how much sodium is in that fluid that you're pumping out? Now, if you sweat a lot and you have a high sweat sodium concentration, you are in a very serious category. My guess is that's possibly where she was as well. Or she could just have a high sweat rate. So if she sweats a lot, and even if she doesn't have a high sodium concentration, by the end of 3 hours, that's a lot of time to exert a high level of effort. You're going to be pumping out a lot of sodium. So those are the big things, knowing what your sweat sodium concentration is and knowing how much you are sweating. Now, how can you calculate that? Well, on our site here, if you go to the sweat rate, this is highly variable. So the temperatures that day got up to 72. If they'd been cold leading up to that, if she'd adapted to colder weather and suddenly gets hit with a really hot day, it's easy for your body to be in big time trouble, overheating, sweating much more than you're used to. That could have really thrown off her hydration plan. The people that only refuel with water, you are in a very serious category if you're a salty sweater exercising for a long period of time. So you can calculate, here's where that link goes to. It goes to how to calculate your sweat rate. It's not rocket science. Essentially, way before and after a workout, see how much weight you lose through sweat and factor back in however much fluid you consumed during that effort. And it walks you through that. Now, if you're not in the Memphis area and you want to run, kind of ballpark this, or if you're just curious about ballparking this, we've got that on our site as well. If you're in the Memphis area, we highly encourage you. It's well worth the investment to figure out where you're at. We've tested people as low as like sub 300 milligrams per liter and people close to 1,700 milligrams per liter. That's a big, big range. If you're above kind of the 700 milligram per liter mark, which a lot of folks have been, then you need to be supplementing with stuff that's stronger than most of the stuff out there. Now, if you want to do this free sodium test, if you know Chandler, you can send this to her too. Or like I said, she can come to us and we'll test her for free. We have this free online test link at the bottom, and it will take you to this sweet page where you can put in your sport. We'll say running here, and you can just run through the questions as they come at you. Where do you do most of your running? So you can see, you can run through the test, and it's going to help you ballpark where you should be. So if you have questions on any of this, let us know. We want to help you. We never want you in a situation like this where you're collapsing into a wheelchair. Your body's undergone some really serious stuff that could be. There's people that die from things like hyponatremia. Kidney failure can occur. So we want to make sure you're dialed in, staying healthy, training hard, training smart, having fun, and pursuing whatever your health and fitness goals are. Holla if you got questions. That's my take on this whole thing. Peace.